So we'll hear a lot about political capital, and that refers to the amount of influence that a president has to get his agenda or his legislation passed. Um, Political capital is gained when a president is really, really popular, because winners win. And so politicians who need to be reelected by the populace need to be associated with positive things. A president who's really well liked, legislation that's very popular. If you notice in this last campaign, people would um, associate themselves with or against Trump, depending on who they were appealing to. So political capital refers to the influence that a particular politician has in order to get something passed. And it's banned. It's like almost like mm, it's like a favorite. You know what it's really like? It's really like high school. Okay? If you stop and think, um, there are some people that are really, really popular. And so other people are very anxious to hang around with them and being seen as some of the popular people. So they have political capital and they can use their popularity with the entire school to influence other people to do things that they would want them to do. So if you have somebody that's very popular that maybe wants to convince the entire school to have a rally next Friday, then they could use their popularity to convince and sway people who might not ordinarily be swayed. Um, Sometimes we see this in our family because we know that um, if we have recently had a bunch of arguments with our parents, we can ask our little sister to ask mom and dad to take us out to ice cream on Sunday. And because she is in favor with your parents, she would be more successful than you would. And that's a version of political capital. Now that the midterms are over, we're probably going to be looking at some politics DAs. Those are different from midterms DAs because that was all about how people were going to vote. But with a politics DA, uh, we have to look at how the individual people in Congress are going to vote. And so, since the makeup of Congress has changed, um, people are going to have to spend a little bit of political capital or a bit of influence to get things done because we have a Democratic House and a Republican Senate. And so the only way bills will get passed is if both sides work together. But when you're convincing somebody who believes differently than you do to work together, that takes a little bit of work. And using that is called political capital. So a politics DA is going to look basically like this. One side wants to pass a law. Well, the side that wants to pass the law um, has only so much influence that they can exchange and peddle. And so, if we pass the plan that the affirmative team is suggesting, then that's going to use up all that political capital for um, that's going to use up all that political capital so that they're not going to be able to do both. And when you don't pass that law that they want passed, then bad things are going to happen, and that leads to your final impact. So that's essentially how a politics DA is going to work. So, how do presidents trade in political capital? Well, sometimes they just need uh, to spend a little bit of capital because they need a favor from a particular um, legislator. And so maybe they might say something like, you support my bill and I'll go out and, um, next time I'm through your state, I'll stop by and make a point to do a photo opportunity with you. Or I can have one of your favorite constituents come here and, I will meet them here in the Capitol. Sometimes they do it through trying to get legislation passed. So maybe because we now have um, a divided Congress, in other words, the one party does not hold a majority in both houses, then perhaps he might offer to trade some favors with somebody from the opposite party so they'll vote for his legislation. And finally, another way that a president trades in political capital is by generating a lot of public support for whatever it is that he wants to have passed.